What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel here. Today we are talking part 2 of things you can try when your audio is not working in DaVinci Resolve. And if you landed on this video, maybe you saw the first one, which I'm actually going to change to be part 1. And maybe your day's going a little something like this. You're there, you're working on your project, you're editing, you're working on some stuff, you drop in some media, and all of a sudden, no sound. You can't hear anything, right? So definitely check out that first video. I'll link to that above. Try those things, see if that works. But if that doesn't work, in this video, we're going to cover a whole bunch of other things that people have tried and have worked for them. So maybe one of these things will work for you. Now, one thing to note, a lot of these things are geared towards PC because most people who've had this problem have been on PC, not on Mac. So I usually work on Mac, so I haven't really had this problem much, but I have looked into it and I kind of consolidated fixes that people have left comments on, said, hey, this worked for me, or that worked for me, or whatever. So we're gonna go through that. I'm gonna show you those things to check out in this video, and hopefully one of these things are going to get you up and running in DaVinci Resolve and get your audio working again. So let's get started in trying to fix that audio so you can hear something coming out of DaVinci Resolve. So the first thing that you need to do is actually check the audio file that you're bringing into Resolve. Usually you can open these files, whether it's something for your video, maybe your audio with your video, maybe it's a music file, whatever it might be. Try opening it outside of Resolve. Does it work? If it works, then it should work in Resolve. Now, if it doesn't work, I've had some people say I downloaded a video and the sound doesn't work. There's nothing Resolve can do about that if the audio doesn't work in your original file. So check that first. As long as you hear it outside of Resolve, you should be hearing it inside Resolve. So that's step 1. Check that out. The next thing to check is to get into Resolve and see if you're getting any signal from your audio that you've brought in. Maybe it's a music track, maybe it's part of your video, whatever it is, whatever audio you got, it doesn't matter. If it's working properly, you should hear it in Resolve, right? The next step you want to do is jump in Resolve, and we're going to see if Resolve is actually getting any signal from our audio tracks. Let's jump into Resolve and check this out. So here we are in Resolve, got a random music clip in here, and what you want to do is first see, do you see the waveforms? If you see waveforms, you know there should be audio associated with your clip, right? And if you don't see the waveforms, come on up to this guy, click on this, you want to come down, and right here you got show audio waveforms, so make sure that that's checked on. Now I want to see, is Resolve actually playing any audio from here? So if I hit the space bar and play through, not only can we hear it, but we can see our meters moving right here. And if you want to be able to see if the meters are moving a little bit better, open your mixer, and then go ahead and play through again, and you should see your meters moving for your tracks. So now we're going to jump over into Fairlight so we can start to check some different things regarding the audio. So let's jump over into Fairlight. So if you're brand new to Resolve, to get to Fairlight, you click on these little musical icons at the bottom here. Go ahead and click on that. It's going to bring you over into the Fairlight tab here. I'm going to make my track a little bit bigger just to see the waveform. So the first thing you need to know is that in DaVinci Resolve 17, the way the audio is output from the program is using a bus, and that bus by default is called bus 1. Now, a lot of people say, I can't see bus 1. I don't have bus 1. What do I do? So keep in mind, when you're starting a new project in DaVinci Resolve 17, it's going to come up as bus 1. That's going to be your main output from the program for your audio. If you're opening a project that you did in, say, DaVinci Resolve 16 or one of the older versions, it may look just the same as it used to. You might have your main out, or main 1 out, I think it was called, and you might not see the bus 1 that we're looking at here. So keep that in mind. If you opened an old project, it might look a little bit different, but this is if you've got a new project in DaVinci Resolve 17, this is what you should see. Jumping back into Fairlight here, now if you don't see this bus 1, let's talk about how can we bring that up. Well, if you come up to your index right here, go ahead and open that. Now over here, we have our audio tracks. So you've got different headings over here. Make sure you're on tracks right here. And look at your audio tracks here. You want to make sure that bus 1 has the eyeball lit up next to it. Because you can see if I turn it off and we look back in our mixer over here, now the bus 1 is gone. I don't see it, right? So I want to make sure that that eyeball is checked on, and that's going to make sure that I can see the bus 1 right here. So now that you've got your bus 1 main out turned on here in Resolve and you can see it, you know it's there, let's talk about how do we make sure that our tracks are getting sent to that bus 1. Because if you brought in an old project and maybe it got updated to this new format here with the bus 1 as opposed to the main 1, maybe things got relinked a little bit, or if you used a preset, things might have got out of whack a little bit. So let's jump back in here and talk about how to make sure our tracks are getting sent to that bus 1 so that we're getting audio out of DaVinci Resolve. So the next thing we want to do is come on up to the Fairlight menu here, and you have bus assign. Go ahead and open that up. In our bus assign window, we have bus 1 send and bus 1 out. And then we're going to have our available tracks down here. So right now, I've only got one audio track. It's right here. And I want to make sure that this is getting sent to here. So if I see right down the bottom of this little audio track 1 here, it says B1O. That means it's going to bus 1 out. Now, if I unclick it there, now you can see it's not going out of DaVinci Resolve. So if I just leave that as it is and close it, now you can see my meters are moving here, but there's nothing coming out of Resolve because nothing's getting sent to this bus 1 main out. So if you don't see that meter moving on your main bus 1 out, there's a few ways that we can send our tracks to that main out. Let's check it out. So one way is to, again, just come right back to where we were in the bus assign menu right here. And I can come up here and select my bus out. So I'm going to hit that and then come down and just click on my audio 1 track. Now my audio 1 track is getting sent to that main bus out. So I'm going to close that. So now if I play through here, you see, no problem. That should be working. The second way that you can send any audio track to any bus is to come into your mixer here, and we have bus outputs right here. So I can go ahead and click on the plus. Now, the only option I have here is bus 1 because that's the only bus in this project, which is my main out. I can go ahead and click on that, and now we're going to see it right here. We're going to see bus 1. So now if I play through my track here, we should see it coming through here on audio 1 as well as bus 1, and we should hear it coming out of Resolve. I'm gonna go throw in my headphones here and just make sure we're hearing something. Okay, so it's working in both spots. So that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. Now, sometimes you might notice that this bus 1 is already there, but you're still not hearing anything. So one thing you can try is go ahead and delete this bus 1 output and then just add it in again. Sometimes if you're opening an older project or something's just out of whack, you might just need to delete that and then add it in again. So give that a try as well. All right, so another thing that we can check is our patch settings, right? You want to make sure that DaVinci Resolve, the output from there is getting patched to whatever your computer is using, your speakers, maybe your headphones, whatever it might be. So that way you know the audio is coming out too. So let's check that out. So if we come on back up into the Fairlight menu at the top here and we come down to patch input output. So that's going to bring up our patch input output window right here. Now what you can do is click on this little drop down, come to bus out, and you've got the options to patch your bus out to a destination. And if you drop down the menu here, you've got audio outputs. So right now mine says Telestream Audio Capture because that's the screen recording software that I'm using for ScreenFlow, but it should say your speakers or your headphones here, and you can try patching that, and that might work too if you're not hearing anything. So let's say you checked all these things, it's still not working. You see the meters moving, but you still don't hear anything, or maybe you don't even see the meters moving. One fix that worked for some people is to create a new audio track and just drop your audio into there. For some reason, the track that was in their project, maybe it's not working, or I don't know what's going on there, but they added a new track, moved their audio down a track, and then it was working. So let's check that out. So checking this out here, we've got our audio 1 track. So if I just go ahead, right click, add new track, stereo. Now I can just select it and either copy paste it or use, hold Alt while you click and drag, or Option if you're on a Mac, and that'll put it down into a new track. Now, why does this work? I think it works because it automatically assigns it to the bus 1 main out when you create a new track. So if there was a problem with your bus 1 output on your original track, by creating that new track, it's going to reassign it to that bus 1 main out. So maybe that's why that fixes that problem. And then you can just get rid of this track if you want, or I don't know, mute it or whatever, leave it there in case you need it as a backup or something. So those are a few reasons why you might not be hearing the sound coming out of Resolve. Now let's talk about some reasons why you might not be hearing it from a computer end of it, right? You've got your speakers, or maybe you're using headphones. And just heads up, there's been a lot of issues with headphones. That's a lot of the problem that people have is I can't hear it in my headphones. So some people say that the Bluetooth headphones, if you've got wireless headphones, they just don't work. I haven't tried that too much, although generally on my Mac here, I don't have a problem. Might have to try it on a PC just to kind of see how it works out. But I've heard that the Bluetooth connection between the computer, Resolve, and like your headphones for some reason isn't working so well. So you might want to just do a little Googling, a little searching to see what might be going on there with your Bluetooth headphones. But that said, there's a couple settings we want to check whether you're using your wired headphones or Bluetooth headphones. We've got some settings here in Resolve that can make sure the audio is getting sent to that as opposed to something else on your computer. So let's check this out. The big fix here that has worked for a lot of people is if you come on up to DaVinci Resolve, you come down to Preferences. That'll open up this window for us. You want to go to System at the top here. Then we want to come down to Video and Audio I/O. You want to look in this speaker setup section right here. So you've got speaker configuration. And for me on my Mac, when I use this setting right here, use system setting, that works out great. I've got no problems and it seems to work for me all the time. But what a lot of people need to do is click the drop down here, go ahead and hit manual. And now you've got the option to select different things. So if you've got some headphones put in here, you're going to see that pop up here. Now for me, I've got my Evo 4, which is my audio interface. You've got a few other things that I set up here for OBS or ScreenFlow that I'm using right now. So you've got options of different things that you can force resolve to send the audio to one of these particular items here. So check these settings out, and changing these seems to work for a lot of people. And a lot of times it'll fix your headphone issues where your headphones aren't working. While we're talking about headphones and not working in Windows, I'm going to jump over to a Windows screen here, and I'm going to show you some settings that you might want to change for your headphones. And this has worked for some people, so it might be worth trying and checking this out and see if it works for you. So let's cut to Windows here, and I'll just explain to you what to do and what settings to change, and you see if it works in DaVinci Resolve for you. All right, so I got my laptop here. I got a PC. It's an Acer laptop. So let's take a look at some sound settings that you might want to try adjusting to get your headphones to work here in DaVinci Resolve. Now, I'm using an audio interface. I'm using my headphones plugged into my audio interface, and I can hear everything just fine here on my PC using these headphones. I'm also going to show you, what do I got here? I have some Skullcandy earbuds that are going to be Bluetooth. So I'm going to connect those in, and I'll show you real quick how these connect into DaVinci Resolve, and they work. I tried it out. I have no problem hearing my Bluetooth speakers from Resolve right to these guys using the Bluetooth. So I'm not sure where everybody's having issues, but let's take a look at some of these things, and maybe it's going to help you out. So take a look at my PC desktop here. Say hello to Mr. Yoda. You want to come over to your sound settings right here, and go ahead and right click on it and come on up to sounds. Once you're in the sound window here, come on over to playback, and you're going to see all the different options that you have here for playing back. Now, currently, I'm using this one right here because it's my audio interface, my Audient Evo 4. But you can see you've got other options in here. I've got some wireless headsets, my headphones. There's the Indie Fuel that we'll try in a minute here. And then you've also got your speakers down here. So you may need to select the one that you have active right now. So I'm going to come back to this main output. You want to come to your properties. And then inside properties here, come on over to advanced. Now, under this default format right here, it says select the sample rate and bit depth to be used when running in shared mode. So you want to click on this guy. Now, mine's already on studio quality, the highest one that you can have. But a lot of times I think people are down here at something below DVD quality. And from what I've seen, from what some people have said, is that if you come into here and for your headphones or your speakers, if you go ahead and select the 2-channel, 16-bit, 48,000 hertz, DVD quality. Now, the number of channels might be different on your machine. I don't know. You got to take a look and see what you got, but make sure you have it set for DVD quality or better. So if I just cancel out of this and let's say I come down and take a look at my speakers here, my normal speakers, I'm gonna come to properties. Let's go to advanced, and right here you can see it's still on studio quality here. But for example, some people may have this right here, you know, CD quality. You want it to be 48,000 hertz, DVD quality. So once you change these settings, go ahead and save it, close it down. And if you got DaVinci Resolve open, you want to go ahead and restart that. So that way, all these changes will definitely take effect once you open up DaVinci Resolve. So right now, I'm going to go open up Resolve, and we're going to see what we get in there. All right, so I got Resolve open, and I can actually hear the audio in my headphones. I've got no problem here. But let's take a look at where you would adjust those settings here. This is the free version of Resolve, and this is on a PC. So let's check this out. So if I wanted to make sure I had the right settings here, again, come on up to DaVinci Resolve here, and come on down to Preferences. Once you got Preferences open, you want to be in System at the top here, and you want to come over here to Audio and Video, I/O. Now down here I have Use System Setting. If you have these set in your system, it should be the same as in here in DaVinci Resolve. It should use whatever you have set in your system, and it should work. But if for some reason it doesn't, like we already talked about, go ahead and click on Speaker Configuration here, come down to Manual. Now if I look here, I've got several different options. I've got my speakers on the computer, and then I've got my audio interface. And these two are my audio interface here. So you can select the one that would work for you. Now let's see what happens if I hook up these wireless Bluetooth earbuds to the computer. Let's see what we get here. So give me a second. We're going to swap this around, pop these in, and see what we got here. All right, so I got my Bluetooth devices paired up here. They're hooked up to the computer. When I test them out, it works out fine. And if we take a quick look at the screen here, again, I came to Sounds. And in this sound window here, I've got my headset here, and that's what I'm hooked up to. So if I look at this sound window here, if I click on it and I come to Properties, let's see, we've got Advanced right here. And you can notice here it says 1-channel, 16-bit, 16,000 hertz, and I don't have an option to change this. So let's just leave it as it is, jump back into Resolve and see if we can find it in here with these earbuds. Now we notice here in Resolve, it says speakers are not found, and that's okay. I'm gonna hit okay on that. Now we may need to restart Resolve. I don't know yet, so let's check this out. Let's come back to Resolve, down to Preferences, System at the top, and Audio Video right here. Now I wanna use System Setting is what I'm doing. So let's hit save, and now let's play this in Resolve and just see if I hear anything. So right now I'm not hearing anything in my earpods, so I'm going to close Resolve, reopen it, and then see if I can hear the Bluetooth earpods then. All right, so I'm back in Resolve. Now, if we take a look at the screen here, when I hit play, I hear it coming through my Bluetooth headphones, no problem. So that seems to work okay for me. Maybe if you have different Bluetooth headphones, maybe it's a different story. Maybe you need some different settings or change the settings we talked about earlier. But these wireless Bluetooth Skull Candy, earpod things, they seem to work out fine. I can hear DaVinci Resolve through there. Seems like a little bit of a lag, so I would go with a wired pair of headphones, but this seems to work for me. And if we jump into Preferences here, DaVinci Resolve, Preferences, System at the top, Video and Audio in/out. Now I'm using the system setting, which is my headphones, my IndieFuel wireless Bluetooth earpods that I'm listening to. So I can also come to Manual and just make sure that it's using those if I want. Make that change, go ahead and hit save. And you can notice here it says changes will take effect the next time Resolve is started. So like I said, you may need to restart Resolve, so keep that in mind. Make your changes, restart Resolve, and see how it works out. So that is some tips on the PC end here, showing you how it works and what I would change on a PC. So another limitation here that seems to have been coming up with a lot of people is that DaVinci Resolve is not supporting ASIO drivers in Windows. So what does that mean? From what I understand, ASIO drivers help drive headphones sometimes if you're plugging directly into your computer. Now, I could be wrong on that because I don't know a ton about it, but it's one thing that you can do a little searching on and try and figure out what might be going on there. But supposedly Resolve isn't supporting those ASIO drivers. Now, where else that comes into play is if you're using certain audio interfaces. For example, I've been told that the Scarlett interfaces use those ASIO drivers in order to connect to your computer and help run the unit. So when you're trying to record directly into Resolve, or you're trying to use your headphones plugged in through your audio interface, there's some problems there with that too. So if you have one of those Scarlett interfaces, you might want to reach out to them. Maybe there's another driver that you can use, or maybe DaVinci Resolve or Blackmagic Design here will come out with some update that might fix that and allow Resolve to run with the ASIO drivers. So just another thing you should be aware of there. Now on my Mac, I am using an audio interface, but I have not had any problems with it. I'm using the Audient Evo 4. I've had no problems with connectivity. My microphones work fine. The headphones work fine. Everything works fine. But like I said, a lot of these problems seem to be more on the PC side of things versus the Mac side. For me, on my Mac, I haven't really had any issues in this area of not getting audio out of DaVinci Resolve. So I do plan on making a video soon talking about the buses and this new bus setup, because I know it's confusing for some people. We went from DaVinci Resolve 16 and earlier. They had a different setup where they had buses, they had auxiliaries, they had subs, and all these different kinds of groups you can make. And now it's all just categorized under a bus. A little confusing, I get that. So I'm going to make a video on that just to kind of explain it a little bit more for you. But let's say you don't like this new setup. You don't want to use just the buses. You want to go back to what it looked like before, right? I'm going to show you how to do that just in case that's something that you're interested in. So let's check this out. So in order to go back to the audio setup more similar to how it was in DaVinci Resolve 16 and earlier, you want to set up your project, and if you come to the little cog icon down here, click on that, open your project settings, and if you come on down here to Fairlight, click on that, there's an option here called Audio Busing Mode, and mine's grayed out here, I'm not sure why, but you could click on this, Use Fixed Bus Mapping. Now this might be if you had an older project that you brought into Resolve and you still want to see your buses and your audio tracks and everything the way it was in DaVinci Resolve 16 or earlier, you might have the option to check this on. Maybe I don't because I just made this project here in 17. I'm not really sure, but if you want to try and get it back to how it was when you were working on your project in the past, go ahead and click this button. Maybe that's going to work for you. So another thing I'd recommend is after you make some of these changes, even if you don't see any results, you're not hearing audio still, go ahead and restart Resolve. Sometimes you just got to give these things a little restart, right? One of the easiest fixes, right? Your phone's not working, computer's not working, give it a restart, right? Try it out, see what happens, let it get going. Maybe you got to restart for changes to take effect here and see if you get any audio coming out of DaVinci Resolve. So I hope some of these tips were helpful. It can be super frustrating when you just want to work on a project here and you got no audio and you don't know what's going on. I get it. We've all been there with different things. It's frustrating. And if you have a question on your specific situation, leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to help you out, do a little research, try and figure out what's going on with your issue and why you might not be hearing audio in DaVinci Resolve. So if you guys found this video a little helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up for me. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Oh, check out one of these videos over here, or maybe that one up there. See you guys in the next one. Peace.